always a pleasure to hold a talk after the coffee break, because we are warmer and sweeter than before. And in my brief talk, I will reflect on a possible place for philosophy in a Catholic context. And I will take Catholic philosophy not in the sense of the philosophy thinking and propounding the truths of the Catholic Church, but in the sense of an activity endowed with the distinctive characters of philosophy and Catholicism. Let us then scrutinize these characters. First, a word about philosophy. Since we live in an intercultural world, we may look for a concept of philosophy that fit the largest number of world traditions of thought. If by philosophy we mean something combining the aspiration towards a general granted knowledge with the usefulness of such knowledge for humans, we will have a term around which various traditions of thought can meet and agree. To go just a little beyond Western thought, in the Indian tradition we find the term anvikshiti, which more or less corresponds to logical reasoning, and the term darshana, which adds a capacity to look at reality spiritually and to realize oneself. In the Japanese tradition, we have the term itetsu gaki, that is the science of questioning wisdom, and its abbreviation, tetsu gaki, meaning thinking and speaking with deliberation. But in a sort of syntactic inversion, philosophy may also design the wisdom of love, besides the love for wisdom. That is, the usual etymology of philosophy as love for wisdom can be reversed, so that it designs a wisdom of love, the Sophia of Philia. As to Catholicism, Christians take Catholicism as having a double meaning. First, it means kata oloi, kaiolai. That is the fact that the Church addresses all humans. Second, it means the fullness of the divine presence in the Church. To quote Ignatius of Antioch, where there is Christ Jesus, there is the Catholic Church. Now, the full presence of God implies the full presence of agape, since one of the focal points of our Christian faith is the good news that otheos agape estin. Gathering together the previous remarks, we get that the term Catholic philosophy may design a granted and general knowledge of agape, as well as the wisdom of agape, for the benefit of all humans. So Catholic philosophy could be, inter alia, obviously, an agaposophy, a wisdom of love, in the sense of the Sophia of agape, a wisdom to be obtained, as in philosophy at large, by way of science. Now, wisdom of agape may mean at the same time wise agape and agapeic wisdom. Wise agape is agape tinged by sageness, a knowledge of the human heart with its strength and the weaknesses, virtues and vices, right and wrong, thoughts and deeds. Agapeic wisdom is wisdom tinged by agapic feelings and emotions, by tenderness and loving kindness, by piety and compassion towards anything and anybody. Besides being an object for Catholic philosophy as agaposophy, agape may also act as a sieve with which to sift the various Catholic philosophical concepts and arguments. And it may act as a fermenter with which to ferment them, as a crucible with which to cupellate the raw materials of non-Catholic philosophy and to refine their precious metals, and as a lighter with which to inflame everyone's heart and mind. Catholic philosophy as agaposophy implies an effort to show that, though agape is a quintessentialist theological concept, It can also be aimed at from a philosophical standpoint. That is, the Catholic philosopher has to show that agape is culmen et fons of love, this last being, among the rest, a genuine philosophical concept. So, from these characters, we can derive the place, role, and mission for Catholic philosophers. As to the place, being humans among humans, Catholic philosophers should be attentive to all humans. They should be a presence inside any context, be it the Catholic Church or any human culture. That is, in the first place, Catholic philosophers should simply be there, waiting for people troubled by the riddles of life and mind, interested in deepening their thought, uncertain about how to morally behave, desirous to sharpen, amend, and refine their language. Catholic philosophers should be immersed in reality. Reality is larger and deeper than Catholic philosophy. So this last should start and emerge from reality, as well as return to reality. Catholic philosophy should be integrated with life. A Catholic philosopher who does not apply, at least as a never-ending platform, his or her ideas about agape in his or her life is scarcely worth living. As to the role and mission of Catholic philosophers, first, it could be to think of agape in a general, granted, and beneficial way, as well as to behave accordingly in society. Catholic philosophers should be companions on the road, fellows who welcome, listen to, carefully ponder over, and possibly answer to philosophical questions from the agapic standpoint. They should do this as a service to their homo querens, that is, to all their brothers and sisters. Catholic philosophers could then act as magnets, attracting people with the soft power of Catholic philosophy. To quote Confucius, it is as with the good government. The near are pleased, and the distant approach. Catholic philosophers should always be ready, more than having a pre-established plan. They could stand prepared and equipped to respond to whatever questions may come from inside and to an even larger degree outside their circles. People thirst for answers, or at least about how to manage unanswerable questions. Indeed, some of them in search of life do become philosophers, that is, specialized seekers, yet all people look and strive for answers. Consequently, Catholic philosophers should be rather flexible. To recall again Confucius, philosophers may give different answers to different persons, according to their capacity to understand and act. It is not that anything goes. Rather, Catholic philosophy is done by people for people. So the existential situation of persons must be taken in account, creatively accommodating the philosophical message to it. Catholic philosophy could be a sister to all other disciplines, in a position neither ancillary nor towering. Catholic philosophers are men and women who try to understand their place in the world, to make sense of the joys and absurdities of life, to uncover the foundations of reality, and doing all this in the light of God. Besides, we must recall that many philosophies are aimed at human salvation, be it this worldly or otherworldly. In such context, Catholic philosophy can give a notable contribution, since agape is a most powerful road to salvation, even if taken merely in its horizontal dimension, without any explicit reference to God. One could argue that agape must have a vertical dimension, lest it be devalued and reduced to a menschliches, allzumenschliches kind of love. Yet it is quite possible that following the way of agape, even in a merely implicit or unaware manner, an atheist or agnostic person could approach the way of Jesus and yield to God's love. Moreover, since a degree of atheism hides deep also in any faithful's heart, agaposophy, and above all, agapopraxis, will be a saving pathway for religious people too. Catholic philosophers should also acknowledge and profit from pluralism. Nobody can adequately embrace the ultimate unity of reality, or deductively derive all the particular facts from it. Hence, every human can give an original contribution towards a better grasp of the relationships among the various particular realities, and, from an agapic perspective, of their ultimate grounding in God. So, in our globalized and intercultural situation, Catholic philosophers should be attentive to all philosophical traditions, from African sage philosophy to Far Eastern thought, hoping that dialogue will prevail over clash. Obviously, such confrontation is already going on, yet I feel that we still have a lot of road ahead before making world philosophy a series of footnotes to Plato and the Vedas and the Injil. As an exercise in hermeneutical distance, this will surely help everyone to deepen their understanding of their very tradition, and will allow everyone to unearth unsuspected treasures of a human wisdom and science. So, Catholic philosophers too should seek, as the old Muslim hadith put it, should seek knowledge and wisdom even unto China. In a recent address to the Catholic physicians, Pope Francis quoted a sentence by Camillus Deleuze, suggesting that the best method to cure the sick is to put more heart in the physician's hands. Perhaps it is time to put more heart in the philosopher's mind, be she or he Catholic or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much.